Hello Body and Soul community, my name is Lyric. I'm a local farmer and educator here to unpack today's bountiful box. This is an example of some of the produce that will be going out today, May 15th at Bounty and Soul's no-cost market. I'm here to offer recipe ideas and storage tips and nutrition information so that you can best enjoy this food. Let's get started. So the first thing I see popping out of my box is some beautiful local kale. This came from Living Web Farms. We also have local kale going out from New Sprout Organic Farms. Lots of local kale this week, very exciting. You want to store kale in the fridge. In your veggie drawer is a really good place. And you can cook kale as you would any dark leafy green. So you can eat it raw, you can chop it and saute it, you can add it to stews. It's a bit of a thicker, firmer green, so it'll really hold its shape after you cook it for a while. If you put it in a stew, it's not gonna disintegrate and turn to mush. It'll stay and hold its shape. And kale is really high in vitamin A, and it's a really good plant-based source of calcium if you're transitioning from animal products where you usually find calcium. I have a bag of green beans. If you did not catch my stewed green beans recipe video, that's on the Facebook page. That's a great way to enjoy these green beans. You can also eat green beans raw. You want to store them in the fridge. They'll lose their crispiness if you store them at room temperature. So store these in the fridge. Green beans are a great plant-based source of protein, all beans are, and a lot of good fiber in these as well. I have some limes. I did a juicing video on Tuesday for how you can make your own citrus juice at home using just basic hand tools. Limes are definitely in that category. They're in the video as well. Fresh lime juice is an amazing addition as a salad dressing, in Mexican dishes, curry dishes. I love lime in a lot of different things, and you can store these at room temperature as well, but if you cut them in half and use half of a lime, you want to refrigerate the other half. So once you cut these open, you can go ahead and stick them in the refrigerator in a Tupperware. It'll keep them from drying out. Grapefruit and an orange. I can tell this is a grapefruit because it's much larger than the orange. It also has a pinkish tinge to the peel. And that's not always true, but typically that's how you can identify a grapefruit. Sometimes I've peeled open what I thought was an orange and it turned out to be a grapefruit, so they can surprise you a little bit, but typically grapefruits will be larger and they'll have that pinkish hue to their peel. Both of these are a great candidate for home juicing. Again, you can refer to my video that went out on the Facebook page on Tuesday. You can also eat these on their own. You can add these to a salad, even cooked food. Sometimes folks don't think about adding citrus to a cooked dish, but it can add a lot of nice natural sweetness. I did a roasted carrot and grapefruit recipe that came out a few weeks ago on the Facebook page, so you can check that out. You can add them to kebabs. Lots of different ways to enjoy citrus, so I invite you to get a little creative and enjoy this great dose of vitamin C. I have an acorn squash, aptly named because it's kind of shaped like an acorn. I highly recommend squashes of all varieties, especially if you're transitioning from a meat-heavy or a grain-heavy diet to a more plant-based diet. Squash are very filling. I find them to add a lot of sustenance to a meal, and they keep for a long time, so you can kind of have this in your back pocket when you're kind of pressed for time or aren't sure what to make for dinner. From a farming perspective, squash are a great storage crop. They can keep for many months at room temperature, or preferably a slightly cooler temperature in a darker place. So you can keep this in your cabinet for weeks or months at a time, and just keep checking on it. Make sure it's not getting moist or soft. And then when you're ready to cook it, you can slice it in half. Scoop out the seeds. There's seeds inside, just like maybe you carve a pumpkin for Halloween, and you can totally roast those seeds as you would pumpkin seeds. They're super delicious. I would recommend doing that so they don't go to waste. And then roasting either half of the acorn squash in your oven, and then you kind of have this bowl, this roasted squash bowl that you can eat out of. You can add other vegetables on top of it, and it's really delicious. It's really high in vitamin A, beta carotene, lots of really good nutrition in acorn squash and in all squash. I'm a squash fan. I have a local No Evil Foods plant-based chorizo. This is a completely vegan meat alternative. It is not gluten-free. if that's a consideration for you. Very important. But it is plant-based, it is full of protein, it is delicious, it has a lot of plant-based nutrients in here, and it offers, you know, perhaps a more humane alternative to traditional animal meat. I'll be posting a longer video completely on No Evil Foods today, so I'll leave that information in that video. You can check that out, all about how to unwrap this food, chop this food, prepare it, and add it to your favorite recipes, because it can be a little mysterious, you know, plant-based meat. How do I treat that? How do I enjoy that? So we're gonna offer a nice spotlight to No Evil Foods today. I have some potatoes. These look like russet potatoes to me. You can store potatoes at room temperature for quite some time. You can store them in a darker place. They'll tend to keep a little bit longer. And store them away from onions. The onions can make the potatoes go bad, and the potatoes can make the onions go bad a little bit quicker. Also, if your potatoes start sprouting eyes, you can just cut those off. As long as the flesh on the outside and the inside doesn't begin to turn green or funky, it's totally safe to eat. And if it starts sprouting eyes and you have somewhere to plant the potato, you could actually cut off that portion of the potato with the eye and plant it in your soil and bury it, and then you could create a potato plant. Potatoes are great roasted, boiled, and mashed. I've been really into potato soup lately, which is, you know, you boil and then you blend it with like coconut milk or veggie broth or water, and maybe some onion and garlic in there. It would be really delicious. I have a big yellow onion. You can see this onion has started to sprout a little bit. There's some green tips coming out at the top, and that's totally fine. It's completely safe to eat. I do know some people will throw away an onion after it starts sprouting, but that is not necessary at all. Really, I see it as a bonus because you could put this onion over a cup of water and encourage those greens to sprout, and then not only do you have a bulb onion, but you also have green onions to eat and enjoy. So please don't feel like you have to toss your onion when it starts sprouting. Even if you don't want to eat the green onions, you can still eat the entire bulb onion. These will store at room temperature for quite some time as well, again storing away from potatoes, and then when you're ready to eat, going ahead and chopping it. And our nutritionist Abby gives the tip that if you chop your onion at least 30 minutes prior to cooking, it'll release more of the digestive and the nutritional enzymes that you want to be eating when you eat the onion. So that's a fun tip. I really like, you know, I won't eat an entire onion in one meal necessarily, but if I am chopping an onion, I'll just chop the entire onion and then store the rest of the chopped onion in the fridge in a Tupperware, so it's just kind of like a grab and go. I can just throw some chopped onions into whatever I'm cooking instead of having to get the cutting board out over and over. So you do want to refrigerate the onion after you chop it. Some onion chopping tips. Last but not least in my box, I have some sweet potatoes. These are high in potassium, vitamin C, beta carotene. Last but not least, I have some sweet potatoes. These are high in potassium and vitamin C, all sorts of good nutrients. These are great as a roasted vegetable, as a boiled vegetable, as a sauteed vegetable, and they'll keep for quite some time at room temperature as well. And if they start to get like, these don't have any, but if they start to get like a dark spot or a soft spot or something, just go ahead and cut that off. And as long as the flesh is still really bright and orange on the inside, it's totally safe to eat. Here is all of the produce that I unpacked from my Bountiful box today, May 15th. Of course, this is not everything that will be going out at market today. I do know we'll have some honeydew melons, some zucchini, some oats, some local greens from Lee's One Fortune Farm, and lots of other goodies. So I hope this video was helpful, and I look forward to hearing how you enjoy this produce as well. Have a beautiful day.